Today is the 16th of July 2025. I've been here in Madeira, which is a autonomous region in Portugal, for just over 2 months now, and I am not happy with the progress that I am making. I totally underestimated just how difficult it would be to transition to another country. Now, I've done this about 25 years ago. I moved from South Africa to the UK, so this isn't something that is totally foreign to me. However, I thought that learning Portuguese was going to be a lot easier than what I've found it to be. And I really wanted to make this video just to share some of the problems that I had and maybe false expectations that I had. And essentially, I think it comes down to just how much effort you put into learning Portuguese. And maybe even the thing that I found, certainly, it's the structure of how you go and learn things. One of the things that I found, without a doubt, is in January of this year, 2025, when I realized that, I was definitely going to make this move, I started learning Portuguese, right? In fact, I used an online web portal, and they've got an app as well called Learn Portuguese, and it's really, really good. And I made some good progress. It ramps up pretty quickly. And the thing that I ran into, and I didn't appreciate it at the time, I just chalked it up to thinking that Portuguese was really, really difficult, which it is. I'm not understating that. There's so much to learn, right? So within a very short period of time, you are learning maybe 50, 100, 150, 200 new words, right? And they've all got different contexts. And if you feel like you have to keep on making progress, so you keep pushing forward without reinforcing and really, really understand what you're doing and committing it to a practical understanding that you can interchange those words, then essentially you become very unstuck later on in the process. So for me, what really, really happened is that the wheels kind of came off the bus in as far as I was getting to points where you start stringing sentences together and just feeling totally overwhelmed, right? And when you start feeling overwhelmed, then you stop studying for a couple of days. But eventually, what you find is that you become fearful almost, right? And you make it out to be something bigger than it is. So anyway, fast forward to when I arrived here about just a shade over 2 months ago, and basically, it's all exciting, and I thought I would pick up a lot more of the language. I really did, right? Just because, where I am, I'm out in the countryside. I'm not in the major city of Funchal. I'm outside of that, kind of in the countryside. And my neighbors, which I don't have a lot of, don't speak English here. And they want you to speak Portuguese. And I want to speak Portuguese. And the honest truth is, I think for the first 2 months, for me anyway, just arriving here, I felt kind of overwhelmed, right? It's a bit embarrassing to say that, but I did, and there were lots of other things. We're walking down my land at the moment, and there's stuff to do on the land, there's stuff to do on the house, there's administrative things to do when you come to any country, and I kind of prioritize that kind of stuff when ultimately, I think an absolute most important thing is to learn the language, right? Now, if you surrounded yourself by, with other people from your own country or whatever the case, then fine, maybe that's not so important, right, for you, right? But for me, I live out in the countryside. I deliberately chose this place because it was out in the countryside so that I could learn and be forced to learn Portuguese. So there's no shortage of commitment from my point of view. However, it is really, really tricky. When when you're learning Portuguese, the language spoken is different from how you learn it often. So with Practice Portuguese, what I find is that they were teaching me words that in the spoken language, the normal everyday spoken language here, they drop, either an entire word or the first part of a word or the last part of a word, and so you then don't recognize stuff which you think you've kind of learned. And that actually demoralized me a lot more than I expected it to. So that is definitely one thing that has kind of caught me out. The practical experience of just learning the language as how it's spoken. So there's another person who teaches Portuguese. Now we're talking about specifically European Portuguese and not Brazilian Portuguese, right? There are big differences, but there's somebody else who's been teaching, and I've been watching a lot of their YouTube videos, etc. ever since I was first interested in Portuguese. I think it's called Talk the Streets. Actually signed up for exploring whatever their package is. I did that today, attended a webinar. But I do very much like their very pragmatic approach, which is the thing that's tripped me up, of basically learning the language of how it is spoken. Because there's no point learning stuff for the sake of learning, because there's so much to do, right? And there are no shortcuts in learning a language. It's going to be really, really difficult. You've got to put loads of hours in, and I've committed to spending at least an hour every single day, because there's nothing more important to me than learning Portuguese. I knew learning the language was going to be super important, but I wasn't expecting the little gotchas that I've just mentioned, right? The pronunciation of how they say words, because one of the things that is super frustrating is when you go and learn something and then you go and practice it on somebody, right? So you're all full of confidence and you go up to a counter or a cashier or whoever, right? You say something and they just look at you like you've landed from Mars, right? And then it's only later you realize that the way you've pronounced it is meaningless to them, right? It's totally incorrect. Now, one of the things that is really important if you're going to be learning Portuguese is to speak Portuguese. There's no point hiding yourself away or learning in your study or kitchen or your lounge, wherever you're going to be learning, and not practicing with anybody, because after all, it's a conversational language, and people here like to speak Portuguese, obviously. And if you're not prepared to make that effort, well then why should they make an effort with you? So my neighbor, a young chap called Gonzalo, he offered to show me around some of the trails around the house here in the countryside, which was really, really nice of him. He's going to be attending university in September, and he's going to be studying mechatronics. So he's a very bright lad, very hardworking young man. And it's really, really nice to speak to him because his English is pretty good. And he helps me with some of the pronunciations and the words when I get stuck, which is a lot of them. And it's just nice to actually understand a little bit about the Madeiran culture. Just making sure I'm going in the right way. Gonzalo was able to tell me what it was like growing up here and the struggles of the local Madeiran people. I know Gonzalo watches his videos, so thank you, Gonzalo, for your help. It's really, really appreciated.